Okay. Okay, so welcome everyone to presenting some news what's happened in YaST from the last conference in Dubrovnik. So it's almost 1 year of development. So we try, except common stuff, do also something interesting, and some new modules also lives in openSUSE. So I would like to introduce it, and I also talk about some generic stuff that's not in that's not a new module, that just happened, but it's quite visible. Yeah. So the first one I would like to talk is YaST fonts. It's actually created by Petr Gajdoš, who is not in YaST team. The goal of this module is to have easy way how to quite precise configure fonts. It means if you recognize if there is anti-aliasing, if there is this font and that font. For me, it looks everything same, but there is people that recognize that a letter looks slightly different in different fonts. So that's a module that helps to have the easy setup. Currently, it's only in Tumbleweed, and last week the newest addition is user configuration. It means you can run this module also as a user, and it creates the configuration only for this user. So if you have more users on computer, everyone can have slightly different fonts. Yeah, so I can show some screenshots how it looks like. The first one it's rendering preview, so you have some windows, and in these windows you see how fonts looks like. In general, you have some font families, and you can specify how exactly this font family looks like. So you have 3 families, and then there is the specific how it looks like. So you can do some configuration that modify how it look like. I quite like this preview because it's quite intuitive. What's the result? So you play with fonts and see immediately how it looks like. So if you can recognize difference, then I think it's quite useful for you. Yeah, the second one is the aliases on system. You can have aliases for different fonts. So if you specify, for example, Times New Roman, then you have this exact fonts. So it's easier, for example, in PDF, you specify the exact font, and it looks always the same. Yeah, and the last part is some specific options for rendering. There is some rounding around fonts and such stuff. Yeah, so that's YaST fonts. The another module is for Docker. It's also quite new. It's currently it lives also only in Tumbleweed for openSUSE. In SLE 12, it's as technical preview. So you can try it, but it still evolves quite. And the intention is to have easy UI for managing Docker images and containers. So again, some screenshot. The first one is the images. So it means that in Docker you have a set of various images. Image can be also the same one, just with small differences that usually they call it tag. So you do some modification, commit image, and then paste their different tag. So it means you can have your base openSUSE 12, and then have the one with Apache different version, or with Rails. So you can just tag it that it's based on this openSUSE, and then have some additions. So that's the screen that allows you to see all images you have on system. What's more interesting, the images can be run. In Docker, it's called containers. As you can see, there's the command that means you start a container, and there's a command on top of it. In this example, it's just top, but usually it's some kind of server, like database server or Rails server. So we have some kind of web server that provide some output. You can specify the port forwarding there, for example. So it means that in container, something runs on a port 3000, but on a host machine, you want to have it in different port. So there's port forwarding. It also allows quite easy directory sharing. So this screen mainly shows what containers currently running on your system, what's their status, and what command they run. And the stuff I like most, because when we start writing this module, Docker doesn't have easy way how to inject into this running container. It's quite tricky. Currently, it's added to Docker API, so even now, even with command line, it's quite easy to inject into terminal. And it's quite useful for some debugging, or if you need some setup, then you just inject into terminal, and the terminal runs in a container environment. Of course, what's also possible is that on the previous screen it's visible that there is a commit, and so you do some changes in your container. For example, you update packages to the latest version, and then you can do commit, and the commit creates a new image. So it means if you want to start, for example, 2 servers based on same image, you just commit, you just update one, commit the changes, and then you start the second one with this new image, and you have the latest versions or modifications you did. So that's the module for Docker. It's created by Flavio and me. What's interesting that this module heavily benefits from YaST in Ruby, because there exists a library for Docker API in Ruby. So we just use this library, and YaST module is mainly just UI above of it. So we just create UI and use the library below. The nice part is that if someone do some fixes in the library, we also benefit from it. Yeah, and the third module I would like to introduce is it's just to journal. It's a new module that's created by Ancor Gonzalez Sosa, and it's a module that's needed for systemd, because in the past, maybe you know that YaST have a specific module that allows you searching logs, and usually the most interesting log is var log messages. There's many stuff from kernel and from some drivers and such stuff, so I think a lot of people want to see it somehow. And it stopped working with systemd unless you have some specific package that logs into var log messages. And now there is a command line tool for viewing it. That's journal CTL. And so what we did, we create a new module that can work with it and can represent these logs and allow some searching in it. Currently, it lives in Tumbleweed, and we plan to add it also to SLE12 SP1. So also the enterprise customers want to see their logs. Okay, so how it looks like. At the background, you see some entries in the log, and what's quite nice, it provides quite easy way how to filter it out. Of course, command line tools also support it. So we just use the command line, but we quite in quite intuitive way provide a way how to fill the criteria for searching. So in this example, you specify that you are interested in this boot. That's quite useful because if something stopped working now, then you want to see if the driver's loaded properly and such stuff. So we are interested only in this boot. And in this case, it's filter out just information for Plus audio. So it means if for example sound stopped working, you probably want to search Plus audio if there's some errors and such stuff. Yeah. And as usual, it works also in courses. Just presentation, yeah, how it looks like. So I think it's quite a good replacement for searching viral messages, and to be honest, I still don't learn enough to use the system journal CTL. So for me, for all the distribution, I use viral messages, and for new one, I start using this module because I still don't remember all options. So it's quite easy way how to search the log files. Yeah, and there's the other things we do, and these things are already in 13.2. So if you use 13.2, you'll probably notice it. The first one is that installation doesn't have a second stage. So now, if you install openSUSE after reboot, you are immediately in the system. You don't do the second part of configuration like it was before. For openSUSE, there was automatic. So it means that if you don't uncheck a checkbox for automatic second stage, it just do something. But currently, even this step is removed, so it immediately boot into your openSUSE. The benefit beside shorter installation is that you don't need YaST on your target system. You maybe see the presentation yesterday that about Ansible and CF engine and such stuff for automatic configuration management. And usually if you have a machine that's managed this way, you don't want to use YaST. And it's just additional packages that's not needed. So without second stage, it's possible to have YaST to have openSUSE installation without any YaST, which wasn't possible before. So especially in maybe you see the Open Cloud presentation from Merchant yesterday, and you pay the payment in cloud is very different, and the more resources you need, the more you pay. So if you can have openSUSE that's really small, then you can pay less. Okay, the other part is full systemd support, and so in 13.2, the previously we can restore the services and start it, but the service module itself doesn't support systemd, so it means that there's no easy way to behave naturally for systemd, that there is no run levels, but there's some dependencies. There's also some attributes that wasn't in initd. So there's now currently full support, and we also created new web page for new developers that we previously live on openSUSE wiki, and I'm not sure if you try to search something, but usually if you don't know the correct words, you don't find anything. And also it's much easier now to edit it in a reviewed way, because we use the GitHub pages, and in fact it's just the Git repository, and you can do the pull request against it, and such things. So if there are some typos or you miss some information in or something is not correct, you can just fork the project on GitHub and update the web page. Also, we convert some documentation from a dogbook to Markdown, so even for humans are now quite easy to edit documentation. Yeah. And last but not least, there's, as usual, a lot of bug fixes in between 13.1 and 13.2. We fix more than 500 bugs, and also there's some features that's smaller, usually around BTRFS, or dropping some support to have easier maintenance. Yeah, if you count it, it means that every day we fix per average at least 2 bugs. So if you think that there is still too much bugs for YaST in Bugzilla, that reason is not that we do not fix it, but we have so good testers that they always found a lot of new ones. Okay, so do you have any questions? Yeah, you can ask on anything regarding YaST. Maybe you see some changes or something doesn't work. Yeah, it looks like it works for everyone. Everyone is satisfied with changes. Interesting. You are probably not paying customers because they are never satisfied. Okay, if you have questions in the future, we lives on IRC channel. It's a public one on Freenode, so it's not a problem to join. I think every day there's at least 10 developers, so usually you get answered quite quickly. And of course we have also mailing list if we have some topic that needs some longer discussion or some tracking. It's also, yeah, question?
You've talked about the features that you have already added. Are there any features that you are still working on and want to share with us?
Yeah, there is still some features that we're working on. Currently, I think the most features that goes into is around Snapper and BTRFS to use the snapshots as much as possible. One of the feature that we currently working on is to have a snapshot after installation. So it means you install your system, and at this, after the installation, it creates some initial point. It's something. It's same like for Windows. If you have Windows, then there's some factory settings that means it's the state in which the OEM gives you notebook. Then it's very similar, that you can return to the early initial state of your system. Of course, another feature that's quite related is the snapshots before and after upgrade. So it means if you upgrade from 13.1 to 13.2, or if there is a new one, 13.3, then it creates snapshots before upgrade and after upgrade. So it means you can return back to the old version, or you can return back to the freshly upgraded version if something goes wrong. So mainly about it's adding features around BTRFS. There's also some features that are more low level, like syncing file system after doing snapshots. And of course, there's some requirements to cleaning more the snapshots, because sometimes it can run out of space, which is not so nice for BTRFS, because the snapshots are quite hidden from common tools to see the space requirements. Yeah, so I hope I answered the question. Yeah, of course, there's also the smaller ones. So we always work on something. Just sometimes it's quite low level. What's not so visible is that YaST needs always some adaptation. because even if YaST still looks same, the tools underlying often changes. And it's not just the big change between initd and systemd. The kernel still changes, some tools add some new features, and we need to support it. The new hardware appears. Currently, for me, the most annoying is some EFI implementation that's very aggressive. Yeah, my current notebook is very good example that I don't know why, but they always put into EFI the first entry, the Windows bootloader. And even if I modify it, I use the proper tools that by standard should modify it. It again, after each restart, it reverted because there's something in firmware. So even if it's not so visible, YaST still changes. There's a lot of changes every day. And it's mainly adaptation to the rest of the system. Yeah. So the main feature of YaST is that it still can work. Yeah. Thank you.